to continue focusing on basketball? This is supposed to be the best time of year for a team. It is not the best time of year for anybody, obviously, right now. How difficult is it to focus on to not focus on what's happening in the world, especially, and even Andre said that he learned of Kenosha from you. He wasn't even aware of it until you brought it up with the team. Just how difficult is it to go through this again and again and again?
Yeah, it is very challenging, for everyone. And we had another discussion with our team. It feels like the definition of insanity, that things keep on happening, that we're all horrified about. For me, when I saw the video, I wanted to make sure that I forced myself to watch it several times, because you can distance yourself from it. You don't have to look at it, and that's separating yourself and almost ignoring it. But the issue is clearly still here. There needs to be some kind of reform or change. Yes, the discussions have moved forward, and there's slowly starting to be a recognition that there is a system where there is racism and racial inequality that needs to be changed, and more people are starting to acknowledge that. But the absolute unnecessary shooting, none of us can wrap our minds around it. It just is crazy, and there clearly needs to be change and reform on that level, the police training level. So something we talked about today, hopefully, with more discussions, awareness, and then obviously voting, that things can change where they need to change. But everybody is fed up watching it and not seeing change in that area.
I asked Andre a version of this too. You guys are playing with Black Lives Matter on the court. You're wearing a pin basically the size of an index card calling for racial justice. The players have the unprecedented step of the messaging on the jerseys. After a month of the world seeing that, Erik, are you afraid that it might have gotten stale in the sense that people are just used to it and either they choose to see it or they don't?
I don't know, and that's why even this T-shirt is something that's important. There's probably a lot of things that are built in to get you not to talk about it or acknowledge it or try to do something about it. And that's why I forwarded that footage to as many people as I possibly know, and it really encouraged people to watch it over and over and over. It's horrifying to watch it, and a lot of us have this privilege of choosing whether we want to watch it, acknowledge it, or not. And it's just absolutely horrifying to watch it and see how it developed. So if there is this excuse of fatigue, that's when we all need to push through even more.
Ira Winderman.
Erik, Andre met yesterday along with Chris Paul with the Celtics and Raptors amid the discussion of a potential boycott. Was that broached in your team meeting? Have any of your players come to you about that?
We did talk about the meeting, and I think the Players Association and our league is very fortunate to have great leadership at the top, Chris Paul and Andre, and whenever they do meet, Andre gives us the update of what was discussed, and if anybody on our team has any thoughts about it. From our end, there haven't been any discussions of that, but I think they're going to meet again, or at least have a group of people talk again tonight.
And then just on a basketball note, sort of secondary, but something you talk to us frequently about, you played a very competitive series against the Indiana Pacers, and it was a fourth quarter game to the end of all of them. And then you see what happens to Nate McMillan hours basically after all of that. I know we've talked about this before, but can you give us your thoughts on that type of?
Thank you for bringing that up, Ira. It seems totally ridiculous. It seems like you're talking out of both sides of your mouth. Just 2 weeks ago, at the beginning of our series, you're giving him an extension, but really it's just a media fake extension to appease whatever they felt like they needed to appease, and then after this series, to make that quick of an emotional decision is really disappointing. We have an incredible respect for Nate and his staff and what they've done this year, and it does matter whether people want to hear it or not. It does matter. A lot of what this bubble has been is who's been available and who hasn't been available. They had one of their best players not available, another rotation player not available. There's tipping points in all of those games. It was extremely competitive. It was just disappointing, to see that. I've been in those series where it's a disappointing ending, and everybody in our organization has given everybody space and time just to be able to look at things objectively. And I've been a great beneficiary of that type of stable leadership, coming from the Harrisons and obviously Pat.
Christos Saltas from Greece.
Hello, Coach. I would like to ask you, how's the atmosphere inside the locker room after the Jacob Blake's video?
Excuse me?
How is the atmosphere inside the locker room the last 2 days?
It's pretty heavy. It's pretty raw. It's on all of our minds for sure. And if you really take the time to watch that video over and over, it is incredibly horrific and discouraging to see that's still happening.
David from La Gazzetta dello Sport, Italy.
Hey, Coach. What do you think? What kind of message do you think boycotting the game, the Raptors Celtics game, would send?
There's still going to be more discussions. So I'm going to just observe and see what happens in the next 24 hours.
And last question, Will Mansell.
Hey, Spo, I know this has been discussed plenty throughout, but given what's happened of late, even more so, the mental side of everything, of being in that bubble, of trying to prepare for games with not just everything that was just being discussed now, but family issues, all the other things. How are your players and staff doing mentally, and how often do you discuss the mental challenges that are still ahead, given how long you'll be there?
Yeah, we talk about it fairly frequently. Just be mindful of taking care of yourself, connecting. So much of any of this is connecting with other humans and connecting with our loved ones at home, and then getting on a daily routine of discipline, of waking up at a certain time, making sure that you're eating properly, getting enough fluids, hopefully getting a little bit of sunlight. We're here in Orlando. Vitamin D does help, and enough activities that are outside of the scheduled practices and team meetings and so forth. It's a challenge for everyone, and there's two sides to it also. Like, yes, I miss my family incredibly, but we are also part of something incredibly historic. This is not a normal world that's going on. There's a global pandemic globally that's going on. There are places and states and countries that are not open, and we're able to be in an incredibly safe environment, doing what we love to do. Is it a perfect scenario? No, but nothing is at this time, and we feel extremely grateful to be a part of this. The whole setup is remarkable. It's working, knock on wood, like cross our fingers. Hopefully it continues to work if we all remain diligent and disciplined and active participants in making this work. There are certainly some challenges to it as well.